Coach Nick, B-Ball Breakdown. This is not our first time around the rodeo. How are things?
They're good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Combo.
Anytime. So I really wanted to get into some coaching around the league, specifically on the West Coast, specifically when it comes to the Warriors and the Lakers. Darvin Ham might not be on the hot seat, but it seems like things are warming up. How much of their turmoil, they just got blown out by the Suns, by the way. How much of their struggles have been because of the players? How much of it has been from the coaches? It's always a hard question to ask, but you really dive into the video. So it's great to have you here to talk about that.
Well, he was there was a lot of stuff leaking, and then Bleacher Report reported this morning that he is not on the hot seat, or they're behind him, and yada yada, which usually means he's not going to make it. But well, actually, what usually that means is when you have like the GM come out and say we're behind him, that is usually the sign that they're not behind him. But that hasn't happened.
100%.
So
When I was playing overseas, they used to say if somebody comes out saying that the coach will not be fired, there's a good chance that he will be fired.
right, but there's probably a good chance they're going to make a move at some point if they can get value out of anybody they have on the team, which might be what they're kind of counting on. Like, okay, maybe it's not going well. Darvin Ham isn't leading perfectly, but maybe we'll just switch up the locker room a little bit, and that might help everything. And that's been a recipe for them for a little while. So that might be the thing. But yeah, it's a problem when you have AD and LeBron playing, or at least filling up the box score like they normally do, and still not producing enough wins. It's an interesting conundrum because what do you have? Like, why isn't it better? And I think that part of it is LeBron isn't the same LeBron. His impact is not the same, even though he's still able to do a lot of the things that we're used to seeing him do. And AD is always sort of been the limiting factor, is that he is a guy that has to rely on everyone else to set him up. Right, he's got to roll and get the ball. He's got to post up and get the ball. He ain't going to create off the dribble and do that kind of stuff. So he can get lost sometimes. And that's the biggest problem. And then plus they're just getting lit up on the defensive end off of with threes. And I'm about to dive into that a little bit to see a little bit more, but I know I'm going to see helping one pass away. I know I'm going to see a lot of middle penetration. I know I'm going to see like pushing up the court for open threes and transition. So all that stuff is effort to some degree, but it could also be the lack of attention to detail, which then falls on the coach.
So what do you think they could do differently defensively? I know you haven't tapped all the way into the video, but from what you're seeing lately.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big one is I'm a big no middle coach, and a lot of that has to do with just the mindset of how you want to defend on the wing, particularly, and then also your footwork, how your feet are positioned. And a lot of times at the NBA level, you don't have practice, you don't have a lot of time to be putting that stuff in, and the players kind of forget, and then they're subject to a jab step to the baseline. They move down that way, and then all of a sudden they're into the lane in the middle, and then everyone's collapsed, and then they're kicking out, and then there's open threes. And when you give, a bad shooter an open three, that suddenly becomes a little bit better of a shooter, right? Like when they're that open, they're giving up the most wide open threes than anybody in the league. And that's a really big problem when you're constantly trying to catch up and have long closeouts. If you're not long enough to get there, and they have like guys like Vanderbilt that can help off and then get back and still contest pretty well. But some of the other guys aren't as effective. Like, Reeves doesn't have that kind of ability to do that. D'Lo doesn't do it like that. So they got enough players out there that are kind of struggling to be able to recover. And you cannot win in this league if you're going to give up the most wide open threes in the league.
Player wise, roster wise, do you see an archetype of player that the Lakers should be looking for within the trade zeitgeist?
The zeitgeist of the trades. You need like a 3-and-D. They need a guy that can, to be a much better perimeter defender for them, but also can shoot. So Vanderbilt's the guy who, there isn't able to do that. He cannot shoot. Doesn't have any gravity. He causes some problems with him on the offensive end. So you need someone like that, and OG was gotten already, so he's not available. But that's the kind of guy you'd be looking for exactly. I mean, listen, every team wants OG. It was funny because before the trade happened, people were like, well, maybe he really isn't that good. I mean, everyone's talking about him all these years, but I think that we're seeing his impact on the Knicks right now has been pretty profound. And so I think that all those people are wrong. And you need a guy like that who's 6'7", 6'8", who can defend and who can just, spot up in the corner for them. That would be what they need.
So it seems like everyone should be worried about the Lakers, but I would say the Warriors should even be more worried. Is that fair?
Yeah. I think that they have less. I mean, at least the Lakers have LeBron and AD. Right now, the Warriors have only Steph and nobody else that can really, create off the dribble at all for them. They're a bit listless. I watched the first quarter, and not even the first quarter of the New Orleans Pelicans game. It's just frustrating because it's the turnovers are always been the same issue, but you can overcome turnovers when are shooting the lights out. And they're not really doing that either. The shot selection from three isn't great a lot of the time. And Kuminga, there's a big thing about he went to the press and he wanted more playing time. He thought he deserved it, yada yada. And there are moments where he can fill up the box score for sure, but there are equal moments where he does the dumbest things you can imagine, throwing the ball away, fouling. And I could see why Steve Kerr wouldn't have the utmost confidence in him to give him those 32 minutes a game that he wants. And especially down the stretch where you have to play perfectly with this team. So it's a flawed roster. They're going to make a move without question sooner than later. And that's the other issue. They have to shore up that CP3 is injured and fractured his wrist, and so he's out for a while. They need to probably figure that out, but then CP3 will be back. But you can't rely on Chris Paul anymore. He will probably get injured again. I hate to say it like that. I don't normally talk in those terms, but I don't know. The guy just can't seem to stay healthy. So that's a big issue they got to shore up. But they need somebody. Looney looks slow. He can't cover the ground like he used to defensively, and so they don't have enough speed. They need more speed.
I mean, it doesn't seem like Clay, Wiggins, Looney, CP3 have any trade value. You mentioned some of the negative sides of what Kaminga has been doing lately. With that said, do you feel like he's their biggest trade piece?
Yeah, for sure. Him and Moses Moody probably still have some value in there because he's young. I mean, listen, they started out with Podziemski guarding Zion. Like the lineup they had out there was not conducive to defending the Pelicans, and they got blown out the gym. And by the way, Zion didn't even like kill him, but it was like the fact that they had to rotate and double extra hard on those possessions when he was trying to post up, just put everybody out of position. So yeah, it's a flawed roster. I feel bad because someone like Clay just doesn't really have it, and he can bring it every once in a while, every like fourth game. Maybe he can remind us a little bit of what he used to be, but it's just not enough. And it's troubling. It's too bad they got in this position, but here we are.
How do you feel about the criticism when it comes to Kerr not leaning into the youth?
Well, I mean, I think I mentioned a little bit with the Kaminga thing where he doesn't have the trust because Kaminga doesn't give him the trust because he still makes mistakes that he shouldn't be making at this juncture of his career. I think that's the issue. He's obviously developed and he's gotten better, but decision making has not at this level. What is he in his third or fourth year now? It needs to be better by now, especially because they want to rely on him. So that's one. Moses Moody's a little bit of a conundrum. I don't know why he's not getting more consistent minutes either. And I think part of it is they want to be able to play Clay. And I think that you would have to cut his minutes. I think it would help everybody if they did. But and then Moody is also up and down to some degree. You could argue that he is that way because he doesn't get consistent minutes, but he certainly is a better decision maker than Kuminga. And so I would feel better, with him out there anyway, would have trust in him to play well and not make a lot of mistakes. So that's another one. I mean, listen, Podziemski's been playing a lot. He's starting, like, you can't say they're not ignoring or they're ignoring all the youth. He's getting a shot and he's okay. He's solid. He's okay, but I think he's a lot better when the other guys around him are better, and that's what the struggle is right now.
He's not as good as Jaime Hawkes, but he feels like he's there. Jaime Hawkes. I don't even think they'd want to move off of him in a trade.
Yeah, I mean, listen, depending on what the trade is, obviously you'd have to if it was a good enough trade.
If it was like a Pascal package, they probably have to move off him.
Yeah, but I mean, without even a second thought. And again, I don't know if the Pascal thing is a great fit. He's not a good shooter.
Read and react type office doesn't seem to be the right fit for Pascal, right?
Yeah, I would be worried that he'd fit. How well would he fit in their motion? So yeah, but they need an upgrade in talent, so that would do it partly. But I don't know if Siakam's the guy. We talked about Brogdon on our pod about a nice fit to replace CP3 for those minutes. That would be the one thing I would do, but I don't think that they're that excited about him either. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do here other than, I mean, they're going to try. They're going to try and make a trade. It's just an interesting question because like can't picture who else would they target that really gets them back into contention.
Yeah, I like Brogdon for the Knicks. I think the Knicks need the six-man replacement for quickly. I would look at Sexton, Jordan Crawford, not Jordan Crawford, Jordan Clarkson, or Brogdon. They need that six-man scoring punch with quickly out. I don't know if that makes them legit contenders, but I think it definitely takes them closer to that range.
Yeah, I mean Clarkson is I don't know how well he would
Brogdon's
fit.
the best fit, I think. There,
Yeah, and so but who do they have to give up to get Brogdon?
who would they have to give up? Let
You
me
know,
think. Yeah,
it's a good question.
it is a good question.
Like the quickly would have been the guy, but they don't. That wouldn't have been a
Yeah,
great.
but then if you have quickly, you don't even need that position
Exactly.
anymore.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know. By the way, and what does Portland want anyway? Obviously, they're going to want like at least one number one pick, I'd imagine.
yeah,
And
probably picks.
round pick, and they have something. I mean, it's too bad like Mitchell Robinson is hurt because like, but then again, they already have eight, and it doesn't work either. But he's not a bad trade package considering that Hartenstein is really kind of coming to his own.
Yeah, Hardenstein's been good. He's been playing that like Draymond type role, connecting the team together on the offensive side. I think that's really important when you have players like Randall and Brunson.
Yeah, can you get the AI to find the pod that we did like last year and me talking about Hardenstein and liking him so much? I know
No,
I
we both like. I liked him since I saw him in summer league like 3 years ago. I thought he was great. I'm like, this guy's a
yeah.
legit NBA player.
And I kind of get why you look at him and think, oh, he's a little bit gawky and whatever, not uncoordinated, but he really isn't, and he really is. You know what it is? It's sort of like his shoulders are hunched forward a little bit, and he just kind of looks weird. But like he moves great, he makes great decisions, he can really play defense, and has a lot of energy on that end. And then offensively, he's much more of a threat than Robinson was. So
Right.
a nice. I mean, listen, I guess it had to take the injury to get him in the lineup as much as he has, but at least they figured that out.
You know that I think with Tibbs, Mitch fits a lot better than Hartenstein because he's just more of a defensive minded player. You know, I think Thibodeau takes into more consideration like defense and rebounding than connecting the team and skill level and things to that effect.
All right. Well, all I know is I'm going through the OG footage to do a video, and all I keep seeing is Hartenstein making defensive plays over and over again. So, I don't know if Robinson is that much more effective than this guy. He's long, he's active, all those things. So, you get a much better trade off with that. So, Robinson, unfortunately, had he been healthy, would be a great trade asset for them.
What do you think about Darko's recent comments? The eyes, Coach Nick, the eyes were
Oh yeah, he was.
intense. I'll
Um,
tell you one thing: a guy with eyes like that, you better not say the T word around him. And I mean tank. I don't think that guy's a tanking type coach. I know they're in a rebuild, but that guy's not going to tank.
Yeah, but also it's a good look. It's a good look to do that and make you have your guys back. I went through the video. I just did a video on it, so go over and watch the B-ball breakdown and watch it if you can.
And check out the live shows on there as well. They're really good. The live shows on B-ball breakdown.
Yeah, those live shows, you have to check those out too. So the so the video, I mean, I went through a lot of the calls and like, okay, where were the calls that the OG did not get? And there was only like one where he goes hard to the basket and dunks on Christie where they didn't call, and they really probably should have. But I also think that maybe they just didn't want to get involved at the very end of the game where I think they were down by 5. So it was like, all right, you're just going to go to the dunk and whatever. So, you know what I mean? Like, but that ended up being big because it did get really close at the end. So the whole thing with the Lakers and getting more free throws and getting more better foul treatment is a thing out there, right? Which is a little bit different than what Darko was saying. Darko was, I guess, more focused on not getting the calls for his team. But there really wasn't a ton that I saw that was anything out of the ordinary. And then on the other side, the Lakers had some gripes that I showed. Like they didn't call fouls for them either. So it didn't really strike me as anything that crazy. And you have to remember the vantage point from the coach from the bench where the coach stands is not great at all. Huge players running by, getting your way, the refs getting your way. So it's not often easy to see what exactly happened, and you certainly can't trust the players' reactions because I mean I don't know if I showed it, but I had like there's a couple like a Schroeder would react big, and you're like there was not even any contact at all. So a lot of times the players will react as if they got fouled when there was nothing to be called. So I think both teams had some gripes about some calls they missed, but it didn't seem anything out of the ordinary. But always nice to see when a coach detonates like that.
It's also fair to say that the Lakers, even with all their struggles, they're really good at getting to the line and they're good at playing defense without the opponent getting to the line. Do you see that in the video?
Yeah, no, I mean, they've always been good at that. That's the reason why, because remember, with a free throw disparity, it's not just that you're drawing fouls and getting the line, it's that you're not putting them on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this last season. It's like when you have guys like D'Lo who are not really good defenders, well, guess what? They're not going to foul much either. So, like, that's almost a weird benefit for them. But I did the stats. I just tweeted it out. Let me grab it real quick because I wanted to see what the benefit was in the win-loss column in terms of, when they get a lot more free throws than the other team. So, Right now, over the last 3 seasons, two, and then this one, 2.5 seasons, when they shoot 6 or more attempts from the free throw line a game, or in a game than their opponent, they're 43-40. So that's a 51.8 winning percentage, right? So that's something. And when they shoot less than that, when they get 5 more or less than that other opponents, they're 56-80, so 41%. So there is a pretty big drop off in winning percentage when they get 6 or more. Now, the only thing though is like, is 51.8% like that significant of an advantage or not, right? I would have thought it'd be a lot higher. So that's the issue I think I have here, is that, like, even though, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist and say, oh, they're trying to help them win, like, they're still not winning that many of those games.
The Clippers are surging, Coach Nick, and when they were struggling right after the James Harden trade, everybody was talking about them. And now there's a little talk about them because Kawhi extended, but I don't hear as much with this Clippers team surging in the right direction.
Why not? They just had, I mean, I know they lost to the Lakers and they kind of a crazy ending, but they're still the hottest team in the league, I
But
think.
that's what I'm saying. But they're the hottest, but not the hottest talking point for some
Yeah,
reason.
maybe that's my fault. I did the video on that, and I
What
wish
do
they
what do you see? What do you see from the video?
Oh, I mean, listen, here's the thing. You got James Harden as the head of the snake, running terrific stuff. And my favorite part of this all is that, and it was in contrast to the video I did where I showed the Suns and how the Suns attacked. So they're really utilizing their offense and all of their players to generate good shots. So I know they'll have their moments of ISO, obviously, because you have guys like Harden and PG and Kawhi who want to do that and are great at it. But what you're seeing a lot now is using the Harden Zubats pick and roll to collapse everything and kick out, and then you're going to get like man just lighting it up from 3 in the last 5-6 games because of that, and you're seeing the ball movement a lot better. So they're just a much more dangerous team offensively because of that. Because imagine that Harden collapses the defense, kicks it, and then they make one more pass, and it's to Paul George, who's now attacking a long closeout. Like, that's awesome for him versus having to do a 10 dribble ISO over someone's outstretched arm, which he can still do a little bit of. So they've been able to really find those moments where, like, Harden can rest a little bit, PG can rest a little bit, Kawhi can be just flowing in an offense. It looks beautiful that way. Then on the other end, geez, you got, you have Kawhi, you have PG. Harden every once in a while on the ball will be really good defensively. You know what I mean? They have Zubats is good protecting the rim. Man is good playing defense. So they have everything they need on both sides of the ball. And so and when they're running the offense like that and the ball is moving like they are, they're got to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to get out of the West.
Last question. Who is the favorite, in your opinion, in the West, not named Denver?
That would be it. The Clippers have to be who I would pick without question. And again, no one's talking about that. I suppose I'll have to do maybe another video a little bit later about that if people want to watch it. Because yeah, we need to take these guys seriously. Kawhi and PG are now playing most of the games, because that was the big thing. They were either injured or load management, whatever, for this whole time they've been together. So now that we see what they have, there isn't the key here. I want to say is the defense, because you have two guys at 6'7", 6'8", like PG and Kawhi. It's such an advantage defensively, because now they can cover a lot of different kind of players and cover for each other. It makes it so hard to score and get good shots against them. And plus, Ty Lue is a terrific coach, has really good schemes to take away stuff and adjust. So you add all that together, the Clippers have to be the favorites. If the Nuggets aren't operating on all cylinders.
Coach Nick, great stuff. Where can we find all your great videos and your amazing live shows with your great co-host?
That's right. Well, if you type in the letters BBALL, B-ball, it'll autofill the B-ball breakdown right away, probably your first choice. And that's where you go on YouTube. That's how you find it. Twitter has been a crazy thing these days. I mean, Bleacher Report just shared my thing on my tweet on IG. They didn't tag me. That would have been nice if they would have tagged my IG. But I'm gonna get back on IG and post more there. I'll take a lesson from Combo and maybe get some AI going.
Ooh.
So I need to do that. I love that AI stuff that you have, right? With the text on the screen. That's really cool. Show me how to do that. But anyway, so it's B-ball breakdown everywhere you go. The biggest conversation daily would be Twitter, but then obviously the videos are all on YouTube.
Coach Nick, you're always welcome back on the show, and talk soon.
Thank you so much, Combo. Can't wait.